Chants of not our president, love Trump's hate being heard across the country again tonight as protesters continue to target President-elect Donald Trump. This crowd right now from Dallas, Texas, and you can see it's a pretty sizable crowd out there, and we have been watching them for the past few nights here. My next guest joined the crowd at Trump Tower last night. He is the Academy Award-winning director Michael Moore. His new movie is Michael Moore in Trumpland. We discussed this before. You were on several times, and now here you are. We have lots to talk about, but as we look at those pictures, if you can put them up now, you joined one in New York. How did it feel to be there?
It felt great, and the randomness of it, because I literally was just on my way to go speak at a documentary meeting, and I got out of the cab, and all of a sudden, a wave of humanity, literally thousands of people coming down the street, and I just joined them.
There you are right there.
Oh,
what were you doing and saying?
I'm just saying, I didn't say anything. I let them talk. There were so many thousands. I asked them how many they thought were there. They said about 10,000. I couldn't tell.
What'd they say?
They are scared for their future. They are, you know, these kids, some of the Hispanic kids that were there, they're in the DACA, you know, a program that they're worried about being taken out of the country. I mean, it's really, there's a lot of fear and a lot of panic amongst a lot of people right now.
I've been trying to explain that, and not to take anything away from Donald Trump's victory. But there's so much fear, and this isn't the normal fear of, you know,
No. Right.
We're old enough to remember when Reagan was elected, and people were like, oh my gosh, it was like, you know, liberals were like, just besides themselves. But it was in a different,
beside themselves.
Right, it was a different, this is completely different, and I don't really know how to qualify it.
What's scary is that you've got 77% of the country is either women, people of color, or young adults from 18 to 35. That's 77% of the country. So you have a minority, a man, a white man, over the age of 35, somebody who represents the minority of the country, is now in charge. And he has said throughout the whole campaign what he's going to do to them. He has screamed into microphones, I'm going to deport 2 million of you. We'll start with you, the criminals, the 2 million of you who are criminals in the first couple weeks. I think they're justifiably scared, and maybe if you're not of that group, you don't understand that. But I heard it out there in the street, and it was intense. And I was very proud of the fact that so many young people came out, because his presidency has to be opposed right now. His presidency started 2 days ago. That's the attitude people have to have. I mean, remember, the Republicans were ready to start the impeachment hearings on day one against Hillary Clinton.
Right.
All right? The other side needs to be ready to roll right now to do whatever needs to be done to stop his appointments to the Supreme Court.
Is that right, though, to do that?
Absolutely. You have to do it. You have to do it only because, look, I appreciate what President Obama said today. We like to see that. We like to see what Hillary Clinton said.
Such a classy family.
Yes, that's right. And you know, and it's like, you watch that and you go, that's the country I want to live in. And I thought too that President Obama and Hillary yesterday were giving a tutorial to Donald Trump, saying, you know, if we had won, this is how we would have wanted you to behave, what you should have been saying, as opposed to threatening riots in the streets if the election didn't go your way.
Yeah. When you look at him sitting today at the White House, there was, you know, just me watching, I was like, I wonder if it's what's going through his head is, what have I gotten myself into? Because he looked a little scared. I thought the same thing, but I think it was because, well, first of all, he realized this was going to be his new digs. And this is real.
And this is a huge step down. I mean, he goes in there, he says, where's the penthouse? And they said, well, there's only 2 floors. Yeah. The penthouse is the 2nd floor. And probably on the way over, he might have noticed that, or one of his aides told him the majority of people in Washington, D.C. are African American. So in his mind, he's processing, he's going, oh, great, I get to live in a ghetto for 4 years. I'm going to live in a ghetto. No penthouse. Yeah. This old house.
I know this brings
He's going to have to work, too.
I know this doesn't bring you any pleasure, but you predicted this would happen. And you were on my show just a couple of days before the election. You were on the show? Watch this.
Well, I live in Michigan, and so I know why she's going there tomorrow. She wasn't supposed to have needed to go there. But I think this has always been a lot closer than, I think the Trump vote has probably been undercounted in these polls. Again, in Michigan, in our primary in March, Hillary was ahead of Bernie by 8 to 22 points on the morning of the primary. All the national polls, and 12 hours later, Bernie defeated her. So I don't think you can, these polls, nobody should be sitting back, regardless who you're for. I mean, this is going to be close. Seems like it's going to be close.
I agree. The vote is still out in Michigan, but you pegged it. Not only did you peg that, you said Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. There was no blue wall. You were right on.
Well, I take no pleasure in that. I've been trying to warn people since the summer because too many of my fellow Hillary voters were doing the end zone dance on the 50-yard line.
I saw that. I saw that too.
Right?
But I also remember when he first came out and came down those escalators, and I said, you know what, this guy has a chance.
Yeah.
Especially my liberal friends, and even the conservatives, you're crazy.
Right.
I don't believe you. I've told this story before. I would go to parties and people, there was one guy who kicked me out of his house because I said, this guy, he had a Donald Trump, Christmas ornament and was making fun of Donald Trump. And I said, and he said, there's no way Hillary's going to trounce him. I said, you should never underestimate your opponent. That's your first mistake.
Right.
Because this guy, actually has a shot.
Clearly these liberals never saw Patton. And frankly, what you just said is absolutely true. And there were so many people that were just in their bubble because it felt good. Every time she won a debate, oh, thank God. Every time he said a crazy thing, oh, thank God.
Right.
And everybody's all gooey and warm and fuzzy inside, and it smells like cinnamon, and we're all happy. And it's like, I'm trying to scream, no, folks, take this seriously. You never watched The Celebrity Apprentice. I did, okay? I mean, this is a popular TV star. And he has manipulated people with so much BS, such a con job to my friends who lost their jobs in the factories in Michigan. And he goes there and he says, I'm going to put a tariff on those cars in Mexico. And he manipulates this, and people were buying it. And it's I don't know, it's very sad.
Let's talk a little more. Don't go anywhere. We'll continue on. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. All right, I'm back now with Michael Moore. We're going to continue on with our conversation. So let's talk about this because it's fascinating to me that 50% of the electorate did not participate, didn't go out and vote. That's apathy. There was no, it's a myth, there was no surge of white voters.
Right.
There was a dramatic drop in black voters. But let's just put that graphic up that we had. So this is in 2008. This is McCain, Obama.
Okay.
And so the blue, obviously, that's Obama. Red. And then 2012, Romney, Obama.
Right.
Democrats voting, Republicans voting. And then Trump, Clinton. So there was a dramatic drop in the entire electorate.
Right.
But also, if you look at those blue, a dramatic drop in Democratic participation.
Right.
People were not inspired by Hillary Clinton.
A lot of people have given up. I mean, they really, there's people who probably aren't watching this because they can't even afford basic cable. People are living from paycheck to paycheck. And I know a lot of people around where I live, they've just said to hell with the whole thing. And it's like you try to say, no, don't do this, because that's exactly what those in power want you to do. They want you to stay home.
Do you think it was a woman thing? Because I'm hearing a lot of Michelle Obama 2020.
Well, that's a good idea. Can we say you thought of it first?
No, there are a lot of people thought of it before I do it.
No.
I'm sure there is misogyny out there, and people are
Well, of course there's misogyny and there's sexism and he fueled it.
Yeah.
He encouraged it.
And women were excited to vote for the first woman.
And absolutely, but yes, I mean, look, Democrats have got to. When you say the word, I mean, I'm inspired by Hillary, but I get it that some people weren't. Democrats need to start running people who are inspiring, though. Why? I mean, the Republicans, they run Ronald Reagan, they run Schwarzenegger. Why aren't we running Tom Hanks or Oprah?
Yeah.
I'm serious. I mean, I don't say that as a joke. I mean, I'm really serious.
Well, the interesting thing
why
is,
don't we run people who are beloved by the American people?
Here's what's interesting to me, is that there are many Republicans who don't and did not like Donald Trump, but they got on the train and they voted for him anyway.
Right.
Right?
Right.
There are Democrats who didn't like Hillary Clinton, but the interesting thing is that the progressives and liberals were busy fighting amongst themselves and still going, oh my gosh, you know, Bernie didn't get on the ticket, and they were fighting something Hillary Clinton said 20 years ago and the crime bill and all that.
Yeah.
That may be well and good, but they did not get behind their candidate. And in a way, I think Bernie and Bernie supporters damaged Hillary Clinton more so than Donald Trump did.
Well, Bernie didn't. Bernie was out there campaigning for her every day. I don't believe that at all.
In the beginning, before, I think the damage was done.
Well,
Especially with millennials and with African Americans.
Wouldn't you agree that if Bernie had been the candidate on the ballot, he would have been the president-elect?
That's my question to you.
Well, absolutely. Of course I believe that. You know, so I believe that because if, as you all are saying here, that this was an election about change, well, you know, the difference between Bernie and Hillary was that one was the change candidate and one was part of the system. And if she was perceived as part of the system, I don't think she would have behaved that way. I think she would have done incredible, incredible things. Yeah. But people watching this have got to go to bed tonight remembering again, the majority of our fellow Americans wanted her, not him. She is winning the popular vote. That's who the American people agree with, Hillary Clinton, all right? Because of an archaic system that we have, he is now going to be the president-elect.
I'm going to take a little bit more time. I know we're late.
No,
but can you put this up, this graphic up from question 4 that I have here? You also say the Democratic Party failed us. You wrote an immediate 5-point plan to what to do now.
Yes.
You say that this is your Michael Moore morning after to-do list.
Yeah.
Take over the Democratic Party. Fire the pundits and the pollsters. Obstruct Republicans in Congress. Stop saying you're shocked. Repeat, Clinton won the popular vote.
Right. That's right. And we do. The progressive wing has to take over the party. The pundits are already fired. The table is empty here. Thank you. All right. So all the people who got it wrong are now gone, and we have to stop listening to them. But liberals and progressive people have got to understand they are the majority. We are the majority of this country. The American people agree with us on every single issue, whether it's equal pay for women, climate change, death penalty, pro-choice, go down the whole list now. The majority of Americans are progressive and liberal, even if they don't call themselves that.
Right.
So if it's already that way, why do we have a Congress and a president now who are not representative of the majority of our fellow Americans? This is totally wrong. Yeah. I corrected my last word there.
I'm glad you did.
Out of respect for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Such a pleasure. All right. Up next, anti-Trump protesters take to the streets again tonight as the president-elect meets in Washington with President Obama and Republican leaders of Congress.